Visionaries, this is Julianne Turner, back again with another spark of genius. And today, my guest is the Cat in the Hat, sitting in for his alter ego, whom you probably know as Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss really identified with the Cat in the Hat as well as the Grinch, but most of all, the Cat in the Hat. And there are several things that I want to share with you real quickly that you can learn from Dr. Seuss and his life and his journey. We love Dr. Seuss for his humor, for his rhymes, for all of his books, like The Cat in the Hat. Now, his name, Dr. Seuss, was actually his alias, okay? His name was Theodore Seuss Geisel. And what I find funny is that his name, Seuss, in Bavarian, he was from Bavaria, which was part of Germany, was actually officially pronounced Seuss. Wouldn't it be kind of fitting if we called him Dr. Seuss? Because that whimsical kind of sound is, I think, just perfect for the kind of whimsical stories and everything that Dr. Seuss shared with all of us throughout our lifetimes, especially when we were little. We'll call him Dr. Seuss for today. As I said, he uses that as an alias most of his life. And there are three quick insights that I want to share with you about Dr. Seuss that I think you can learn from about bringing your own genius forth. Number one is how to dial in your own true genius. Here's the thing. All of the amazing visionaries that I work with all across the globe, your fellow visionaries, you all have amazing gifts, so many talents, so many interests. And the challenge is to dial that in so that you can create a unified body of work, a unified business around your unique genius. And so Dr. Seuss did that. You need a way to dial it in, and he needed to find a way to dial his in as well. So first of all, Dr. Seuss was actually not really a PhD. He wasn't a doctor, but he did go for his doctorate. And while he was studying for his doctorate, okay, he's in his lectures and he's writing, he's got his notepad, but he's not taking notes, not taking lecture notes. He's actually doodling, he's cartooning, he's drawing, okay? And there's a woman sitting next to him who looks over and says, "You are crazy to want to be a doctor. You're clearly, your genius is drawing. You want to draw." And this woman actually eventually became his wife, Dr. Seuss's wife. She had some insights for him. And so he actually agreed with her. And so he left the PhD program and decided to go into cartooning. Okay, so here's number one. You got to dial in your true genius, not what you think you're supposed to be doing, not what somebody else told you you're supposed to be doing, but what is your true genius? What is your true joy? What is your natural expression of brilliance? Okay, so that's number one. Number two is you want to build a path to your success that honors all your gifts. Okay, we know Dr. Seuss had so many gifts. His intellect, he had the intellect to be a doctor, absolutely. But he had such an imagination, right? And he had the drawing skills, and he had the rhyming that we know from his books, right? So all of those things he learned how to honor in his work. Now, was he an immediate success? No, he stuck with it and he built a body of work. So he started out, he left the PhD program, he went and he decided he became a magazine cartoonist and an advertising illustrator, a cartoonist, right? So it took him a while, though, to really take off. And it wasn't that glamorous all the time, right? When you're beginning to build on your genius, it's not always going to be glamorous. Initially, Dr. Seuss was doing the cartooning for advertising, before we knew him in the books and before his book success. Okay, but he kept at it. And the thing about it is, he wanted to, his rhyming and his cartooning became his signature, right? It's what I call his signature genius. And it wasn't until he actually hit the big time with an advertisement about bug repellent. Okay, that was his big hit in advertising. It wasn't that glamorous, but it paid the bills so that Dr. Seuss could go ahead and start writing the books. Now, his first book, nobody wanted to publish it. It was rejected by 29 different publishers, okay? But he stuck with it. He got it published. Cat in the Hat was actually his 13th book, okay? So he's building his own body of work. You've got to stick with it. He actually ended up writing 66 books. We know of him because of all of his writing, right? So that's number 2. You've got to find your own path, your own signature genius, okay, that people can recognize. Number 3 is Dr. Seuss also found his voice. He had a message. He stood for something. Now, he became a political cartoonist as well. You may not know this. You may not be as aware of it. But, you know, Dr. Seuss was a political cartoonist when Hitler was coming in his rise to power. And Dr. Seuss really stood for anti-discrimination, okay? And in all his books, you will know that he had a message. He had something that he cared about. And that's true of all of us visionaries as well, right? We care about having a voice, a message, making a difference, as well as making a living. Impact plus income. So Dr. Seuss, his Horton Hears a Who was all about the small person who didn't normally have a voice getting a voice, okay? And the Cat in the Hat, he actually wrote because he was afraid that children weren't really learning to read. He thought that the Dick and Jane books were way too boring. He said, I need to write a book that first graders will not put down. And so he wrote The Cat in the Hat. And we're so thankful that he shared his gifts and genius with us, right? That's what I want to encourage you to do as well. And all of these reasons, dialing in your genius, honoring all your gifts in your own body of work, and finding your own voice, I want to encourage you to do that. And that's why I put together the Signature Genius Workshop. It goes through each one of these. It tells you how to do it. And I want to invite you to join me for that at, you could just go to mygeniusworkshop.com. And here you go. Let me see if I can get this in front of the camera. There we go. Signature Genius Workshop, how to build a high-impact business around your secret genius without sacrificing your security, your sanity, or your freedom. Go to mygeniusworkshop.com. It's totally free, but extremely valuable. And I look forward to seeing all of you there. Thanks for joining me, the Cat in the Hat, and the spirit of Dr. Seuss today. We'll be back with another Spark of Genius soon.